Good afternoon, I'm Milton Walker with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. A reminder as well that you can watch TVJ live by downloading our One Spot Media app in the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1, followed by the words Spot and Media. The Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF now has 2 black box kits which should improve the investigation and analysis of traffic crashes. Speaking yesterday at the launch of the United Nations Global Road Safety Week, Transport Minister Mike Henry says the JCF received the black boxes to ensure that they're better able to investigate and analyse accidents.
I want to see the black box fully utilised to determine the cause of traffic crashes. And I'm advising motorists that there are going to be consequences for their actions. I want the accident investigation and reconstruction units to ensure that all motor vehicles involved in a traffic crash are subject to a black box analysis.
Black box are data recorders that preserve inputs from the vehicle's sensors. This often includes the 5 to 10 seconds before a crash occurs. After an accident, the data can be downloaded and stored to help determine conditions that contributed to the crash. Mr. Henry says it's important that his ministry gets to the root causes of crashes so that the applicable road safety measures can be put in place.
It would be foolhardy of me not to condemn the indiscipline, impatience and wanton lawlessness on the road network. But this is not to discount the responsibility of government equally to poor road conditions, to vehicle defects. It is important that in developing and designing our roads, we begin to utilize high skid resistant material that is readily available in Jamaica, since our limestone polishes over time and renders the road surface unsafe.
110 persons have been killed in traffic crashes since the start of the year. There were 379 road fatalities last year. Motorists could soon be required to dig deeper into their pockets to pay new toll rates to travel on the north-south leg of the Highway 2000. Operators Jamaica North-South Highway Company are expected to apply for a review in toll rates come July.
Addressing the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, PAAC, on Wednesday, Managing Director of the National Road Operating and Constructing Company, NROC, Ivan Anderson, said the increase is in keeping with the provisions of the concession agreement that was signed between the government and the developers of the highway. The annual negotiation for the adjustment establishes a toll cap, the maximum cost the developers will be allowed to charge.
So the toll caps are typically moved based on US inflation and obviously the exchange rate.
He notes, however, that the toll charge is usually below the cap figure.
So in the concession agreement it's written in what the maximum toll you can charge is, and the developer is free to set a toll rate within that maximum as he sees fit.
PAAC members sought clarification on the negotiations regarding fees charged and the impact on the projected earnings of developers. Mr. Anderson says there is no direct connection.
There is no guarantee which the government provides to any of the operators. No guarantee for rates of return, no guarantees for traffic, no guarantees for revenues. There are no guarantees provided for any revenues for the developer. All the risks associated with revenues, rates of return are 100% the developer's obligations.
Residents of Seaview Farm in Portland are calling on the parish council to address road conditions in the community. The residents say the roads were not in a great state, and with frequent rainfall in the parish, they're getting even worse. More in this report.
A drop-off spot for residents of the Seaview Farm community in Portland, as taxi operators will not pass this point. Stones, water pipes and running water further down this road. Residents say often they are forced to skip and hop through puddles of water when they journey home.
Because a be a pipeline a show up on the road now. Taxi used to come around, a taxi can't come around no more. We have to have a baby on our side with a whole heap of bag and something.
Dennis Chin, who has lived in the community for over 20 years, says the roads are at their worst. He argues that the authorities' method of addressing the road is not sufficient.
The road, not even a shovel of asphalt has ever been laid on this road. And I've been here as a resident for over 25 years. A vice complaint, over and over with no result. Sometimes they come, they grade it down, rainfall, it mash up again.
He added that the road conditions are not only preventing access to the community, but also costly for residents like himself who own a vehicle.
Every minute me have to buy a tire. Front end, tire burn out. You know, when the water can't get any channel to go down the hill, it run in the road, and every time it dig up back over and over.
Taxi operators says it's the main reason for using the drop-off spot.
Every 3 months, me have to fix my front end. One pass every minute. Be nice on my front end. So what am I going to do? Consult you out, please, and thanks.
Rosemary Sewell says she's calling on the authorities to address the issue.
Single alone, them can't give. We are not single people. We want good road.
In response, Port Antonio Mayor Paul Thompson says he has been made aware of the road conditions and estimate for repairs will be done shortly. He argues that the previous administration did a temporary fix. Simone Golding reporting for TVJ News.
5 persons were shot, one fatally in Denhamtown, Kingston, sometime after 6 o'clock yesterday evening. The deceased has been identified as 27-year-old Rashawn Davis, also known as Gary or Natty, a shopkeeper of Blunt Street, Kingston. According to the JCF's Corporate Communication Unit, the shooting occurred in the Golden Heights housing scheme. Reports indicate that 5 men were attacked by 2 men. Mr. Davis died on the spot and the other men were taken to a hospital. Of the injured persons, 1 was admitted and the others treated and released. And a man was shot dead in Greenwich Town, Kingston last night. Dead is 52-year-old Rowan Lewis, otherwise called Jia, of 7th Street in the community. Reports indicate that shortly after 9 o'clock, Mr. Lewis was drinking along with friends on 3rd Street when a lone gunman walked up and opened fire at him. Mr. Lewis was pronounced dead at hospital. The Health Ministry is seeking to correct poor customer service, lengthy waiting periods and related issues affecting the sector. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says 7 hospitals and health centres have begun that process.
Over the next year, we will put in place facilities to track time to triage in all 7 hospitals, which will give us additional information to improve that process.
Minister without portfolio at the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, J.C. Hutchinson, says farmers must take a different approach as the ministry and RADA strive to reduce the spread of the beet army worm. He made the appeal as he toured the agri-parks in St. Elizabeth earlier this week. Minister Hutchinson, along with representatives from RADA, assessed the recent damage caused by the beet army worm. The tour also revealed the biggest contributing factor for the spread.
Once you are not doing the best practices, you find that there is a problem that takes place. What happens is that those that are not doing the best practices, they just leave up the farm, and this is where the manifestation takes place.
Minister Hutchinson says farmers must work together as costly methods will have to be used if the matter is not addressed. An alarm is being raised that the mosquito infestation problem in Portmore, St. Catherine is worsening. This has prompted the Portmore Municipal Corporation to call for the intervention of the Health Minister. In a statement issued yesterday evening, the corporation said Portmore is experiencing an unusually high level of mosquito infestation. Mayor of Portmore, Leon Thomas, says the situation warrants urgent attention.
For quite a while, the first I've seen it like this. We are calling upon the Ministry of Health to pay some attention to Portmore, because the first case of Zika was found in Portmore, and we would not want that to reoccur. However, we'd like to also, for it to be noted, that the Portmore Municipal Council have no responsibility of fighting mosquitoes, and that's the reason why we are calling upon them. And the residents of Portmore at this time is complaining, and it is unbearable.
He outlined the extent of the problem.
Despite the spraying or the fagging that is taking place in some communities, it is extremely bad. These mosquitoes are big as a fly, and they are not running away. Even when you are fanning them off, they are not running away from you. They are attacking you.
And Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton has suggested that time may be appropriate for the ministry to discontinue an advisory for women not to get pregnant because of the risk posed by the Zika virus. Local health officials recorded almost 10,000 notifications of suspected cases of the mosquito-borne virus between January 2016 and March this year. The Gleaner newspaper reported this week that, based on Health Ministry data, roughly 77% were suspected cases of Zika. Dr. Tufton states that based on the findings, the official position of the ministry could possibly change.
The truth is that the risk is much less now than it was when the virus was on the increase. It's a lot less risky for pregnant women, and by extension, I would not say that persons should delay pregnancy. I'd certainly advise them to be cautious. You know, dengue and all the other stuff are still there too, but I wouldn't go as extreme and say avoid getting pregnant. But it's something that we could do. It's something that could be done.
He adds that the virus remains on the radar of the ministry, but things have changed in Jamaica as based on case tracking. The outbreak has peaked and is in decline. Dr. Tufton further noted that Jamaica is out of the danger zone in terms of a crisis. However, that is not a reason for complacency. Time now for a fact or fiction feature. Appleton, Jamaica is the world's oldest rum producer. We'll tell you the answer at the end of the sports segment of this newscast. And in sports, the European Athletics Council is recommending the removal of world records before 2000. Jamaica Olympic Association President Mike Fennell says the NACAC decision should also meet on the matter. While urging the European Athletics Council to be cautious, Mr. Fennell says the North American, Central and Caribbean region should also let their voices be heard on the controversial proposal.
And hopefully the bodies such as NACAC, which is the athletic body for this region, right, North America, Central and so on, will immediately have a task force or a small group that will examine these recommendations and make proposals themselves. Because you heard President Sebco saying they're open to receiving other suggestions. Right. So this is just from Europe. So I hope we accept that invitation and do that as quickly as possible. National federations can also give a studied reply and response to this. So this is something that's very important.
Meanwhile, although news has emerged that a new JOA president could be elected soon, Mr. Fennell is remaining tight-lipped on the matter.
Meeting office.
Elections come up every 4 years, and I'm not here to speculate with what.
Well, not speculations, but we understand that you could be demitting office soon. What can you tell us regarding that?
Well, I'm not in a position to discuss that now because I have to follow certain protocols within the organization, and at the proper time, announcements will be made.
And finally this afternoon, the answer to our fact or fiction feature. We asked, Appleton, Jamaica is the world's oldest rum producer. It's fiction. Barbados' Mount Gay Distilleries is the world's oldest rum producer. The company dates back to 1703, citing processing equipment on the site of their present offices. Mount Gay Rum has been making rum for over 300 years, which is sold in 110 countries. Appleton, Jamaica, dating back to 1749, is therefore the world's second oldest rum producer. Martinique's St. James Rum is the world's third oldest rum producer, dating back to 1765. And that's our midday news. Milton Walker joined us at 7 for a primetime news package on behalf of the news, sports and production teams. Good afternoon.